like crossing some invisible finish line, like I'd finally earned respect just by surviving. I was wrong. The restaurant was full. Not just family, but friends, coworkers, distant relatives who only showed up when free food was involved. Soft jazz hummed in the background, glasses clinked, and a massive gold 30 balloon floated behind my chair like a warning sign. My parents sat across from me, smiling the way they always did in public. Tight, polite, performative. My mom wore pearls. My dad tapped his glass with a fork. That should have been my first clue. "Everyone," my father said, standing up. The room quieted. "Thank you for coming to celebrate our child's birthday." Our child, not my name. A few people laughed awkwardly. I smiled because that's what I'd been trained to do my whole life. Smile, don't ask questions, don't embarrass the family. My mother reached into her purse and pulled out a folder. Thick, white. Official. She placed it on the table like a weapon. "We believe in honesty," she said sweetly, and tonight felt like the right time. The air changed. I felt it before I understood it. My dad continued, "For years there have been questions about loyalty, about blood, about sacrifices." People leaned in, phones subtly angled upward. Then he said it. "So we decided to finally get DNA testing done." My heart slammed against my ribs. Someone laughed, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. My mother opened the folder and slid a paper toward me. I didn't touch it. My hands had gone numb. "This," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "explains why you never quite fit in." Gasps, murmurs. My father looked straight at me, no warmth, no hesitation. "You're not biologically ours." Silence exploded in my ears. 30 years, 30 birthdays, every comparison, every insult disguised as advice. Every time I was told I was different. This was why. My cousin whispered, "Oh my God." Someone dropped a fork. I stood up so fast my chair screeched across the floor. "You're doing this now?" I asked. My voice sounded calm, which scared me more than if I'd screamed. My mother sighed dramatically. "Don't make a scene." Make a scene. At my own birthday. With DNA results. My dad added, "We thought you deserved to know the truth, especially before inheritance matters get complicated." There it was. Money. Blood as currency. I scanned the room, searching for a friendly face. Most people looked away. A few looked entertained. One woman near the back looked furious. I didn't know her. Yet. "You raised me," I said quietly. "You let me call you Mom and Dad." My mother folded her arms. "We gave you a roof. That doesn't make you ours." Something cracked inside me. I grabbed the paper and read it. The words blurred, but one line was clear. Probability of parentage. 0%. They'd planned this. The timing, the crowd, the humiliation. I laughed. Not a breakdown laugh. A sharp, disbelieving one. "Anything else?" I asked. "You want to list my flaws too? Maybe rank them?" My dad looked relieved, like he'd finally said something he'd been holding in for years. "Well," he said, "now you know why we expect you to move out of the family home by the end of the month." The family home. The one I'd been paying the mortgage on for 3 years. That's when the woman in the back stood up. "Enough." Her voice cut through the room like a blade. Everyone turned. She was in her late 50s, elegant but angry. Her hands were shaking, not with fear, but rage. "You don't get to do this," she said, walking forward. "Not like this." My mother frowned. "Excuse me, who are you?" The woman stopped beside me. "My name," she said, placing a hand on my shoulder, "is Margaret Hale." The name hit me like déjà vu. She turned to the room. "And I believe," she continued, "you were told this story very incorrectly." My parents went pale. My dad stammered, "We don't know you." Margaret smiled without humor. Oh, but I know you. She reached into her own bag and pulled out a folder. Thicker than theirs. This, she said, is the adoption agreement you signed 30 years ago. The one that included a non-disclosure clause you just violated. Whispers turned into buzzing chaos. My mother's pearls trembled as she clutched them. That's private. Margaret leaned closer. So was their identity. Then she looked at me. You weren't unwanted, she said softly. You were protected. My knees nearly buckled. Margaret faced the crowd again. You see, I'm not just a guest. I'm the attorney who handled that adoption. She paused. And I'm also your biological aunt. The room erupted. My parents started talking at once. Denials, excuses, lies unraveling. Margaret raised her voice. Your biological mother was my sister. She died protecting you from people exactly like this. She looked straight at my parents. People who wanted the trust fund tied to your bloodline. My head spun. Trust fund? Margaret turned back to me, eyes wet. Happy birthday. I wanted to wait until you were ready. They forced my hand. My father shouted, that money was never theirs. Margaret smiled coldly. Funny. The courts disagree. She handed me her folder. Inside were documents, accounts, names, and one final page. Primary beneficiary. Me. 30 years of humiliation suddenly made sense. My parents hadn't raised me out of kindness. They'd raised me as an obstacle. And tonight, they just exposed themselves. I looked at them, really looked. Then I smiled. Not the trained smile. The free one. Thank you, I said. This is the best birthday gift you could have given me. Because now, I knew exactly who I was, and what they were about to lose. Up. The restaurant never recovered from that moment. People tried to act normal. Waiters froze mid-step. Forks hovered over plates. Whispers crawled across the room like ants. My parents stood there exposed, blinking like thieves caught under fluorescent lights. Margaret stayed beside me. Solid, unmoving. You have no right, my mother hissed, lowering her voice like that made it less ugly. This was a private family matter. Margaret laughed softly. You announced DNA results over dessert. You don't get to say private anymore. My father grabbed his jacket. We're leaving. Margaret tilted her head. You can, but before you do, you should know. Everything you just did was recorded. Several phones were already pointed at them. Someone hadn't even bothered to hide it. I spoke then. My voice surprised me. It didn't shake. You humiliated me, I said, in front of everyone, on purpose. My mother opened her mouth. I didn't let her speak. You lied to me for 30 years. You took money from an account you weren't entitled to, and you tried to kick me out of a house I've been paying for. A stunned silence followed. My aunt, my biological aunt, added calmly, that house is in your name. The mortgage payments prove it. Your parents have been using you as a financial shield. My dad snapped, that's not true. Margaret turned to him. Then you won't mind the forensic audit. That word, audit, hit him harder than anything else that night. His face drained of color. My mother grabbed his arm. Let's go. Now. They pushed past people, knocking a chair over on their way out. No dramatic exit music, just shame and whispers. The moment the door closed, my legs finally gave out. I sat. Margaret sat with me. For the first time that night, the room felt quiet in a different way, like the calm after a storm, not the silence before one. I didn't want you to find out like this, she said gently. I'm glad I did, I replied. And I meant it. Within 24 hours, everything changed. The video hit social media before the cake was even boxed up. Parents expose child at birthday. Lawyer reveals shocking truth. Millions of views. Comments poured in faster than I could read them. This is abuse. They planned that humiliation. Protect this person at all costs. And then someone dug deeper. My parents weren't just cruel. They were sloppy. An anonymous tip landed in the inbox of a local investigative journalist. Bank statements, property records, adoption paperwork. Margaret hadn't leaked it. I had. Because silence was the only thing that had ever protected them. Not anymore. The article dropped 3 days later. Headline: Couple accused of financial exploitation after public DNA stunt backfires. Turns out, the trust fund my biological mother left wasn't small. It was life-changing. And my parents had been siphoning from it for years under the guise of family expenses. Private school tuition for my cousins, renovations, luxury vacations I was never invited to. They didn't raise me out of love. They raised me like an ATM. Lawyers circled like sharks. Margaret filed an injunction freezing all associated accounts. My parents' credit cards stopped working the same afternoon. My mother called me. Over and over. I didn't answer. My father emailed. Subject line: We need to talk. I forwarded it to Margaret. She replied on my behalf. All communication should go through legal counsel. That night, I went back to the house I thought I was about to be kicked out of. For the first time, I walked through it differently. I noticed the way my parents' photos dominated the walls. Their achievements, their smiles. Not one picture of me after age 12. I packed their things carefully, respectfully, and moved them into the guest room. Then I changed the locks. The next morning, my mother showed up screaming on the lawn. "You ungrateful liar!" she shouted. "After everything we did for you?" Neighbors peeked through curtains. I stepped outside, calm. "You did what benefited you," I said. "Now it benefits me." She raised her hand like she might slap me. She didn't. Because Margaret's car pulled up behind her. And behind that, a police cruiser. I hugged back. "We're family." She smiled, relieved. I smiled too. But while everyone was watching football, I quietly emailed myself a fresh copy of the small claims forms, updated with the latest non-payment dates. The leverage was growing, the silence was working, and the clock was ticking toward her wedding. The silence stretched longer than I expected. After that late-night call where I said no to the $10,000, Brooke didn't text or call for almost 3 weeks. The family group chat stayed oddly quiet too. No memes, no wedding updates from her. Then, right before Christmas, she posted a glossy carousel on Instagram. Engagement photos in the snow, her beaming in a red coat, Jake kissing her cheek. Caption: "Counting down to forever, grateful for my people." She tagged the whole family. I liked the post, nothing else. Christmas at Mom and Dad's house in Denver was tense in a way no one acknowledged. Brooke arrived late, makeup perfect, smiling wide. She hugged me in the foyer like nothing had happened. "Missed you, Rye," she whispered. I hugged back. "Missed you too." We ate turkey, opened gifts, watched old home videos. When it was my turn to hand out presents, I gave her a small box, custom engraved keychain that said, "Boss Babe," something neutral I'd ordered months earlier. She squealed, hugged me again. Everyone cooed. Under the surface, though, I felt the shift. She kept glancing at me when she thought I wasn't looking. New Year's came and went. In January, her boutique announced a winter clearance sale. Deep discounts, final few pieces warnings. Sales were slow. Then in February, she texted me again. Single message, no emojis this time. "Hey Rye, can we talk? Privately. Coffee when you're free?" I waited 2 days. Then, "Sure. Next Saturday at 11? The spot on 17th. We met at a quiet cafe near Lodo. She looked tired. Dark circles, hair in a messy bun instead of her usual blowout. No ring flash for photos. She ordered black coffee. I got tea. After small talk about the weather and Jake's new gym sponsorship, she got to it. I know I messed up, she said, staring at her cup. The engagement party. I was showing off. I wanted everyone to see how far I'd come, and I threw you under the bus to make it look like I did it all myself. That was shitty. I'm sorry. I nodded slowly. Thank you for saying that. She exhaled. And the money? I know I owe you. A lot. I kept thinking I'd pay it back soon, but then things kept happening. Returns, ad costs, the shipping drama. I panicked. I should have talked to you instead of pretending it wasn't a thing. I stayed quiet, letting her fill the space. I can start paying now, she continued. $1,000 a month? Or whatever you want. I can't do it all at once right now. The shop's barely breaking even. I took a slow sip of tea. I appreciate the apology, Brooke. And the offer. But let's make it official. I've calculated the total with interest. $47,200. We can do a repayment plan, but it needs to be in writing. Promissory note. Notarized clear schedule. $1,500 a month starting next month. If you miss one, we go to small claims. No more verbal promises. Her eyes widened. Small claims? Rai, come on. We're sisters. We are, I said evenly. That's why I'm giving you terms instead of filing right away. You humiliated me publicly. You used my help to build your image, then made me look small. Now we fix it properly. She looked down. Tears welled up. I didn't think it hurt you that bad. I thought you were fine with it. You're always so calm. I'm calm because I choose to be, I replied. Not because it didn't hurt. Long silence. Then she nodded. Okay, I'll sign whatever. Just don't tell Mom and Dad yet. They'll freak. I won't tell them unless you stop paying, I said. This stays between us, for now. We left the cafe. She hugged me goodbye, longer than usual. I hugged back. No warmth, but no ice either. 2 weeks later, we met at a notary public downtown. She signed the promissory note. $47,200 principal plus interest. $1,500 monthly starting March 1st. Auto debit from her business account. I gave her a copy. She looked smaller somehow. Thank you for not making this public, she whispered. I didn't reply. I just nodded. The first payment hit on time. Then the second. The family didn't know yet. Wedding planning continued full speed. Brooke posted venue tours, cake tastings, bridesmaid dress fittings. She invited me to every group call, every vendor meeting. I showed up on Zoom, smiled, gave opinions on colors and flowers. Mom kept saying, "See, everything's fine between you two." But Brooke knew. Every time our eyes met on camera, there was a flicker, acknowledgement, maybe even respect. She stopped the subtle digs. No more Riley's so practical jokes. When someone brought up my condo purchase, she said, "Ree's killing it. Smart investments pay off." In April, the boutique posted a restructure announcement. Smaller drops. Focus on core customers. Reviews improved. Payments continued. Then, in May, 3 months before the wedding, Jake's fitness brand got a big sponsorship deal. Brooke texted me privately, "We're ahead. Can I pay an extra $2,000 this month?" I said yes. The balance dropped faster. The power had shifted. Not with a fight. Not with tears in front of the family. With paper, consistency, and calm consequences. Brooke was still getting married in August. I was still a bridesmaid. But the story wasn't hers alone anymore. The wedding arrived in August like a storm everyone pretended was just sunshine. The venue was a stunning mountain resort outside Boulder. Wildflowers everywhere, wooden beams, a view of the Rockies that made you feel small in the best way. Brooke looked breathtaking in her off-the-shoulder gown, Jake handsome in his navy suit. I wore the blush bridesmaid dress she'd chosen, smiled in every photo, helped fix her veil, toasted with the other girls at the bachelorette brunch the day before. To the 200 guests, we were the perfect sisters, close, supportive, unbreakable. During the ceremony, I stood beside her as she said her vows, voice steady and full of love. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, the room laughed lightly. I stayed silent, of course. My objection had already been filed in a notary's office months earlier. The reception was magical. String quartet, farm-to-table dinner, a dance floor under the stars. During the sibling toast, Brooke handed me the mic first. The room quieted. I could feel the weight of every eye, especially hers. She looked nervous for the first time in years. I spoke slowly, clearly. Brooke, growing up, you were always the one who lit up every room. You dreamed big, chased hard, and never let anyone tell you no. I've always admired that fire in you. Today, watching you marry Jake, I see that same fire, committed, bright, unbreakable. I'm proud to be your sister, and I'm grateful we've found our way to a place where we can both shine without one dimming the other. To Brooke and Jake, may your life together be full of honesty, respect, and the kind of love that lifts everyone around you. Cheers. The room erupted in applause. Brooke's eyes glistened. She pulled me into a hug that lasted longer than any we'd shared in years. "Thank you, Ree," she whispered against my ear. "I mean it." No one else knew the subtext. No dramatic reveal. Just words chosen carefully, carrying the weight only we understood. The payments continued after the honeymoon. $1,500 every month, auto debit, no excuses. By December, the balance was under $20,000. Brooke's boutique stabilized, smaller but profitable, better reviews, loyal customers. She started a sideline of custom wedding prints that took off quietly. She never asked for another loan. Ever. In February of the following year, she texted me a single screenshot, her bank app showing the final payment cleared. Balance, $0. Followed by one message. "It's done. Thank you for giving me the chance to make it right. I love you, sis. For real this time." I replied, "Love you too. Proud of you." We didn't hug it out in person right away. We didn't need to. The next family gathering, Easter at Mom and Dad's, was the first time things felt normal. Not fake, normal. Real. Brooke brought homemade desserts instead of ordering everything. She asked about my work, listened without interrupting. When Mom started the old "Riley's so practical" line, Brooke cut in gently. "She's smart. That's different. And it's why we're all still standing." Mom blinked. Dad smiled quietly. The conversation moved on. Today, at 30, I live in that same Portland loft, rain still tapping the windows. My consulting business has grown. 2 full-time clients, a small team, enough freedom to travel when I want. Brooke and I text regularly, memes, life updates, photos of her garden. She started one last spring. We visit each other a few times a year. No more loans, no more shade. Just 2 adults who finally learned what family can look like when both sides show up. The revenge wasn't in the money coming back, though that felt good. It wasn't in the apology or the notarized paper, though those were necessary. The real justice was quieter. I stopped carrying the role of the invisible supporter. I stopped letting my kindness be rewritten as weakness. I set terms, enforced them calmly, and in doing so, gave us both the chance to rebuild something honest. If there's a lesson here, it's this. Betrayal doesn't always need fireworks to be answered. Sometimes the most powerful response is steady, documented, unemotional follow-through. You don't have to destroy someone to reclaim your worth. You just have to stop protecting theirs at the expense of your own. Peace came not with a bang, but with a zero balance notification and a quiet "thank you" that finally meant something. And that, for me, was enough.